Filming locations from movies are selected based on beauty and uniqueness, qualities that describe many places across Japan. Searching for these familiar locations is a fun way to explore the country. You can immerse yourself in the world of your favourite movie and create lasting memories that come alive each time you revisit the film. I'm Jun from Japan Junkie, and these are 10 blockbuster movie locations to visit in Japan. Number 10. The 2003 film Lost in Translation is filled with iconic scenery that you can see in real life. One of the most memorable is the Park Hyatt Tokyo. The hotel serves as a central location where the two main characters stay during their time in Japan. The New York bar, located on the 52nd floor, is a prominent setting in the movie. It's where the characters meet and engage in interesting conversations while enjoying the Tokyo skyline. The bar became particularly famous after the movie's release, attracting visitors who want to experience the same views and atmosphere featured in Lost in Translation. Travellers who want a lavish experience can stay at the hotel, but you don't have to be a guest to go to the New York bar. Just note that you do have to be over 20 years old, and there is a cover charge for visitors who aren't staying at the hotel. You can relive your favourite moments from the film while enjoying their nightly jazz performers. If you're there during the day, take a trip to the hotel restaurant. On a clear day, you'll have a grand view of Tokyo all the way to Mount Fuji. Number 9. The 2012 James Bond film Skyfall features a portrayal of the abandoned Hashima Island, located off the coast of Nagasaki, Japan. It's also known as Gunkanjima, meaning Battleship Island because of its shape. In the movie, it serves as a secret location for the film's villain. The real-life Hashima Island was originally a coal mining community thriving until the 1970s. It used to be the most densely populated place on Earth, and the conditions were so harsh that many labourers never made it back home. It was then abandoned as Japan shifted focus to alternative sources of energy. Since the last residents left in 1974, it has been left to nature with its eerie, decaying buildings attracting tourists. It's this unique environment that led to its recreation in the Bond movie Skyfall. As the island continues to decay, it becomes more and more dangerous for visitors, so the time that small tour groups can spend there is limited. If you're visiting, you may want to bring motion sickness tablets, because if the weather is bad, the boat ride to get there can be an adventure in itself. Apart from the crumbling buildings and wild vegetation, there are a couple of highlights. The Stairway to Hell is a steep staircase squeezed between ghostly apartment buildings. You may also like to visit the Shinto shrine, built on a high point in the centre of the island overlooking the sea. Number 8. The film Memoirs of a Geisha from 2005 is set mostly in Kyoto and features several stunning real-life locations. Considering that Gion is one of Kyoto's most famous geisha districts, it makes sense that many of the scenes were shot in this area. Apart from the traditional wooden machiya houses and narrow cobblestone streets, there are of course actual geisha. If you're interested in learning their real story and what to do if you meet a geisha, you can check out our video. Many people who have visited Kyoto will recognise the scene from the movie where the young Chiyo runs through the red gates to make an offering. The scene was filmed at Fushimi Inari Taisha, famous for the thousands of gates that you can walk through on your climb to the top of the mountain. With such beautiful real-life locations, it's easy to see why this film won the Academy Award for Best Art Direction and Cinematography. Number 7. 2013's Marvel superhero movie, The Wolverine, features a scene shot at Zojoji Temple, which is around 10 minutes by car from Tokyo Station or around 40 minutes to walk. It's right next to Tokyo Tower, which you can see from the temple complex. The scene from the movie shows the characters walking up the steps of the main hall in a funeral procession, which is interesting as the temple does really house the tombs of 6 Tokugawa shoguns, the military rulers of Japan during the Edo period. The film does add some movie magic, such as the extra lanterns, but the real place is beautiful in its natural state, with trees and statues surrounding the temple. Though it should be noted that in the movie, when the characters step out of Zojoji Temple, they're not in Tokyo anymore. The outside scenes were filmed in the Garden of Friendship in Sydney, Australia. That's just more movie magic. You can see more familiar sights across Tokyo in the following chase scenes, including streets of Akihabara and Ueno Station. You can also take a look at the real pachinko parlour, as long as you're over 18 years old. Number 6. Kill Bill Volume 1 has a large part of the movie set across Japan, with a few scenes actually filmed in the country. You might recognise the iconic Rainbow Bridge or Shibuya Crossing, which is featured in many movies including The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift and Resident Evil Afterlife. But perhaps one of the most memorable scenes of the entire movie occurs in a real-life restaurant that you can visit today. The scene involves the main character of the bride fighting a gang of Yakuza assassins in a very unique wooden building with a wraparound balcony. That building is the restaurant Gonpachi in Minato Prefecture. In the movie, it's called House of Blue Leaves and was actually built as a replica on a soundstage, which makes sense considering the chaotic action that takes place here. But you can visit the real-life restaurant and see the Kill Bill memorabilia and images they have there. They specialize in izakaya, or Japanese pub-style food that is very foreigner-friendly, which is ideal considering the tourists that visit from around the world. Number 5. Spirited Away is the most successful Studio Ghibli film, winning multiple awards, including an Academy Award, and it was the highest-grossing Japanese film until Demon Slayer came along. It may seem strange to include an animated movie on a list of filming locations, but Studio Ghibli films are admired globally for the high-quality artistry, and that includes realistic worlds that are based on real-life sites in Japan. The film is largely set in a bathhouse, which was inspired by one of the oldest hot springs in Japan, Dogo Onsen in Matsuyama. It's not just the outside that looks similar, the interior features winding and maze-like hallways. But you may notice that this onsen is missing a key feature from the film. In the movie, the main character has to cross a red bridge without breathing to get to the bathhouse, or else she'll be noticed by the spirits. This red bridge can be found at a different ryokan, a traditional Japanese inn, known as Sekizakan in Gunma. If you're interested, you can also check out the Ghibli Museum just west of Tokyo, where you can experience a range of curious exhibits and activities. Number 4. The Grudge is a Japanese horror movie from 2002. 2 years later, an American version was made, and surprisingly, it has many more filming locations in Japan than the original, and they're easy enough to find in the suburbs of Tokyo. The very first scene of the American remake was filmed in Yanagibashi. You can easily walk to the apartment and see the street below where an unfortunate event took place in the movie, complete with the yellow square still painted on the street all these years later. It's a beautiful location to visit with Japanese-style houseboats crossing under the bridge. Over on the west side of Tokyo, you can visit the temple and the cemetery in Yoyogi, or the University of Tokyo, which is actually a medical school in real life. You can even go to the restaurant Fungo, where Sarah Michelle Gellar's boyfriend worked in the film. The beauty of these production sites is in their simplicity. They aren't landmarks or cultural icons, but there's something very satisfying about setting out to find the exact shooting spot for yourself. Tokyo is a very large and diverse place, so searching for these familiar locations from famous films is a fun way to explore the city. Number 3. The 1967 movie You Only Live Twice is the second James Bond film to make it to the list. Because the movie is largely set in Japan, there are many places that you can visit, but none are quite as memorable as the amazing Himeji Castle. In the movie, this is where James Bond learns how to become a ninja. The real-life location is massive, with a complex network of 83 buildings. Unlike many other castles in Japan, Himeji has survived wars, earthquakes and fires in its nearly 400-year history. It's easy to take a train from Osaka to visit the historical site, with the stunning white castle overlooking the entire town. It's often referred to as White Heron Castle because the design resembles a heron spreading its wings. You can walk to the top and have an incredible view of the surrounding area, which is especially lovely during cherry blossom season or when the autumn leaves are changing. Number 2. While you're in Himeji, you can discover some of the beautiful scenery portrayed in the 2003 film The Last Samurai. Even though the film is set in Meiji-era Japan, much of the movie was shot in the green fields of New Zealand, though there were several Japanese landmarks that were used as filming locations. One of these is the historic Enkyochi, which is a temple in Himeji, where Tom Cruise's character meets Ken Watanabe. The main building serves as a backdrop for much of the action, but it's the temple gardens that are particularly memorable during a conversation between the two characters. While these locations are in the Kansai region of Japan, there is one particular Tokyo location that makes an appearance. You can see part of the Imperial Palace, around 79 minutes into the film, which is very easy to visit as it's a few minutes walk from the next filming location on this list. Number 1. If you're a Godzilla fan, you're in luck when it comes to filming locations across Japan, considering there are 38 movies in the franchise. The 2016 film Shin Godzilla was set primarily in Tokyo and features dozens of real-life sites that residents see daily. But probably the most recognizable is the iconic Tokyo Station. The main building was designed by a German architect and built over 100 years ago using clay from Japan to make the millions of red bricks. Considering more than 500,000 people visit the station per day, it's somewhere that many travellers will likely see. It's colourfully lit at night, and it's worth taking a look at the interior dome ceilings, which is like looking into a kaleidoscope. The octagonal design has 8 white eagle sculptures along with 8 zodiac animals. These animals aren't just decorative, they can be used for directions because they're in their traditional compass position. Japan has many other Godzilla-themed attractions. Probably the most famous is in Tokyo's Shinjuku area, where there is a Godzilla-sized head poking out from the buildings. If you stay at the Hotel Gracery, you can have a full Godzilla experience, from themed bedrooms to quirky food. You may even be greeted every morning by Godzilla, sometimes with glowing eyes and smoke coming from its mouth. There's also the Godzilla theme park, called Godzilla Interception Operation Awaji, where you can see models from the movie and zipline into the mouth of a monstrous 120-metre long Godzilla. Thank you for staying all the way to the end. You can leave a comment with any suggestions you have for future videos, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.